Okay, so in other lessons, I talk a lot about how Desmos, the built-in calculator, is great for solving algebra. But for the sake of learning some things here, we don't want to defer to Desmos when we don't have to. And so this is the basic kind of algebra that you really need to know how to solve for the PSAT. Some of you are still kind of learning algebra. You're not quite at that age where you're comfortable with it yet, but let's review it. You need to know how to do this. So let's take this equation here, 2x plus 3 equals 9. So remember, when you only have one variable, the goal is to get it alone most of the time. So if there's no x squared, get it alone. So you have to work towards the variable. So the furthest thing away from the variable right now, the x, is the 3. So we have to move it over by canceling it out on the left and bringing it over to the right. So 3 minus 3 is 0. That's why this just kind of goes away, but we don't even bother with that. And 9 minus 3 is 6. So now we have 2x is equal to 6. Then we're working closer to that variable to get it alone. The 2 is being multiplied by the x, so we divide by 2 to cancel out the multiplication, right? So to get rid of addition, we used subtraction. To get rid of multiplication, we use division. Everything has an opposite, and algebra is about mixing those opposites together to kind of move things around. So that leaves us with x is equal to 3. But that gets us to a very common trap that we have to avoid on the SAT is your instinct through algebra in school is to solve for x and be done. You get to x equals and you're like, I've solved the question. That's always what they want, right? But not on the SAT. A lot of times they do what they did here, which is they ask for you to take that x and then do something else with it. So you just got to always make sure you're reading the question and it just following whatever instructions they give you. So here we would plug in x being 3, so 6 times 3 minus 1. And remember, I could have talked about this with algebra too, but remember GERMDAS, our order of operations, right? So what do we do first? Well, we don't have any groupings, we don't have any exponents or radicals, but we do have multiplication. So we have to do that first. 6 times 3 is 18. And then once that's done, we can move over to addition and subtraction. 18 minus 1 is 17, and that is the final answer. So like I said, this could have been solved using Desmos. I'm not going to deal with it here because we're going to have many more opportunities later to use that calculator, because you do need to know for many questions on the PSAT and the SAT how to solve basic algebra equations. This to me is basic algebra. Every 10th grader and 11th grader really needs to be comfortable with something like this.